What's up, everybody? How are you? We're live. This is a very anticipated live we're going to do here tonight. Hold on one second. I got to put these earbuds in because every time, even though I'm using a microphone, every time I do a talk or an interview with somebody, bear with me one second, and we're going to look for our special guest. What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome. Who we got here watching? We're waiting for our guest. Joe Pringle, Dr. Randy Nordyke, Gary. What's up, Gary? Gary, I got that stuff for you, by the way, for the tanning place. So I'll have to I'll get together with you maybe on Saturday. Aurora Paradise, hello. Brian Basil, got my notes ready. We're good to go. Wait for our doctor to join us. Just waiting for her to join. It's funny, I was just doing a live with a good friend of mine, Kevin Kravchak, and we had like 5 minutes left, and then I think his phone died. It just cut off. It was done. So I don't know what happened, but anyway, what are you gonna do? But yeah, guys, I'm really excited about tonight. This is going to be a it's going to be a short video, right? We're going to keep it brief, but it's going to be powerful. This is going to be one of the most powerful lives that you've ever seen. I'm so excited for our special guest to join us and to get some hard questions answered. We're going to ask some questions tonight. We're going to put everything on the table, and this is going to be one, for the book, so to speak. I'm really excited about this. So I want to, let me see if I could do an invite. Hold on, bear with me one second, guys. Guest requests, where are we at here? See if we can find her. Oh, here we go. And there she is.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay? Or do I need the mic?
Can you have earbuds? Maybe you can put in?
I do.
A little bit of feedback.
Okay. Crickets.
Yeah, it did sound a little bit like crickets.
Yeah, it kind of sounded nice, but
Nature. Well, look at that.
is that better? Is that better?
That is so much better. That is awesome.
Okay.
So
Okay. I hate wearing these things. I'm damaging my brain for you right now. I'm not going to do this all the time.
Okay.
I'm serious. These things are no bueno, but okay.
I went out and I got this really nice microphone for the audio, which is working great, by the way. But whenever I do like a live conversation with somebody, if I don't put these in, there's that horrible cricket sound. I still can't figure out why. Maybe somebody watching tonight could figure it out and let us know. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, that's beyond me. I don't know either.
Well, first of all, Dr. Stephanie Rimka, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here. I'm excited. We've been trying to do this for a little minute.
Yeah,
this is good.
We started talking about this, I guess, last month in New Jersey, and here we are. It's February.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Anyway, love the glasses, by the way. Very nice. So
you know why I'm wearing them, right? This is hormonal balance. It's okay. It's another story. But
that's another live. Yeah.
You guys have a lot to learn. Let me just say that.
Okay.
You guys have a lot to learn. Go to my channel. Start watching videos.
Exactly. So let's this is, I kind of prefaced what we were going to do tonight with, I said, we're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it right to the point, but it's going to be extremely powerful and informational because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. There's a lot of, people have been hearing on Facebook for so long about the gel. What is it? And so we're going to really break it down tonight. We're going to be right to the point, and I couldn't think of a better expert, frankly, to have this conversation with. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Why don't we start at the beginning and tell us a little bit about your professional background? And we know you're a doctor, but I know you have some unique specialties. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. I have a weird background, certainly in terms of the scope of what I do. A lot of people don't even know what to call me. Even my own patients don't know how to describe me. They're like, I don't know what to say you are. So I'm a holistic functional medicine doctor. Now, you can have many doctors in this kind of country. You can have an MD, a DO, an ND, a DC, a PhD, right? What does that mean? They aren't all physicians. I am not a physician. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't cut open people and prescribe medications. That is not what I do. I'm more on the vitalistic, holistic side, have always been I started off in counseling, working in mental health and with schizophrenics in a mental health center and in group homes, placing women. And as I was deciding what I wanted my career to be, and I decided I wanted to help mentally ill people, schizophrenics, drug addicts in the prison population. That was my motivation. And I wanted to do it in a non-drug route because I didn't like what I was seeing in the hospital setting at all. So I chose to do it as a chiropractor because chiropractic saved my life and made me not be paralyzed anymore. Another story for another day.
Okay.
So I became a doctor of chiropractic with the sole intent of going after that population. Okay, very much not musculoskeletal in focus, even though I was a college athlete. It would seem like that's what I should do. I was more concerned with helping those who are suffering from mental distress. And I saw nothing in the terms of traditional medicine that had anything helpful for them in any way, shape, or form. And I was trying to get people out of prison or stop them from going to prison. So I became a chiropractor, kind of focused on all of that stuff in school. So I focused very hard on neurotransmitter and hormonal function that affected mood, memory, mental state, psychosis. Where did that come from? Obviously, that led me then to having to understand the digestive system, since that is so integral. Those two talk to each other. They are the two brains of the body. Hormonal systems are on that. There really is no way to take care of somebody without understanding all the systems, right? So if you're doing it from a holistic standpoint, we in this holistic functional medicine world, we don't separate and say, well, you know, I'm the kidney doctor and I'm the liver doctor and I'm the brain doctor and I'm the gut doctor. It's impossible for us to separate that way. So you kind of have to go back to the old school doc with the black bag that would show up like Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman at someone's house,
Right.
and kind of know how to do it all, because that's what you end up having to be able to see, to really go in there and heal a person and bring them whole again and into themselves again. My nephew is autistic. That diagnosis happened when I was in school, and it certainly changed the trajectory of what I studied and what I went after aggressively. I am driven to do what I do because I'm a swear, this shit is personal to me. Yeah. Okay. It's very personal. I don't do this as a career, a vocation. It became an absolute calling. I'm quite frankly obsessed with what I do because it's personal. This has affected people I love very deeply, and I go after, I'm going to figure it out. So that's what kind of led me to do so much like therapy, counseling, psychological focus. I branched then into what's called neurofeedback. I do a lot of special things that are called neuromodulation. I change the structure and function of people's brains. That is what I do without drugs and surgery. All right. And we pre and post test. I do brain imaging with EEG. I measure electricity. I measure magnetic pulsing. I measure pulse art and heart rate variability, all of these things. And I teach people to control and change their physiology with their mind, basically, and a lot of other stuff. So I do testing. I look at labs. I look at hormones. I look at neurotransmitters. I look at a lot of stuff, and I figure out what's the most important stuff to do.
So you're a brain surgeon. You just don't cut. Right, pretty much.
You know, maybe, yeah.
Okay, all right, okay,
yeah.
All right. You know, your background with the brain, with the neurotransmitters, and how you mentioned how it really ties into the whole holistic approach with the hormones and the balancing of hormones. And that's what I think, to me, what was so impressive about your background when you got a chance to speak. But this gel and how it relates to hormones, you know, why are you so passionate about it? And in your current field, how do you feel this is helping people from the balancing of hormones specifically?
Well, in the functional medicine world, we have, to our dismay, I think it's to our own downfall, we've started to use nutrients and supplements like medications. It's part of that Western mechanistic thinking of, there's a symptom, let me give you this thing to push it down. And then this other thing, let me give you this thing to push it up. So instead of using drugs, pharmaceuticals that have a tremendous amount of potential side effects, they're very powerful, but with that comes a bunch of other effects at the same time because they're very systemic and you can't control that. Supplements, herbs, glandulars, things like this, they're coming in and doing it in a gentler way, and we're trying to come and find very specific points along the chain that are more at the bottom and more causal. So I've been using nutrient therapy, food therapy, food as medicine, plants as medicine for 20 something years, trying via testing, via what is working. I've also used electricity, magnets, lights, brainwaves, all kinds of things to try and change the course of that physiology just to bring the body back into balance. I don't care what system it is. The body is always healing. I'm just trying to help eliminate any barriers, anything that's too big for your body to handle. Let me eliminate it for you and let me feed whatever isn't being nourished. And it will always, you are always healing. You don't need a ton of magic from us. We just need to boop, boop, boom, let it go. Because your body's infinitely more wise than anyone else can imagine from the outside. Right. Okay. So knowing I've used supplements for decades, I have recommended many supplements and all types of diet changes and all types of therapeutic ways of doing that. This product was one that I mean, it's just one. It is truly the fastest acting I've ever clinically used. Before that, I probably would have said it was cannabis. I would have said CBD oil, without a doubt. I've been doing that for 4 to 5 years. I've been one of the doctors that have been the mainstay of making brain maps for everybody to go to Colorado and get their medical cannabis, like THC containing. CBD is now legal here, so I've been using that for years in Georgia because we couldn't do the other. So that is a very powerful medicine. This trumped it for me. And when I saw that, I really didn't think I would come across something that readily accessible to people, no big side effects of like things like MDMA, which is ecstasy, psilocybin, which are the mushrooms, LSD. These are all powerful medicines as well, but you have a lot of other issues that go along with them and have to be used in a very controlled psychiatric environment. And physicians are working really hard to get that legal again. This, I can send a bottle off to my mother, who will barely be compliant and don't do anything right that I tell her to do. And I know it's totally safe and she's getting killer results, right? So it was like, it's like 30 products in one. That's what was mind-blowing to me. I could take this one thing and I'm like, so I'm gonna give you this, it's sitting over there, and I'm gonna take away these 10 other things I told you to take. I'm gonna maybe keep them on 3 or 4 other things. Again, I have people on other things. I take more than just the gel. But I took away a whole bunch of it. I'm like, I don't need you on any of that anymore. And I have a pre-hormone panel and a post-hormone panel. And I'm telling you, we're gonna balance it all with this and these. And for them, very specifically, how I test for things. I've never seen anything so comprehensively work so well, so easily for so many people. And it's so money saving, again, because I'm moving $500, $600, $700 of supplements away for one thing.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, but that's one of the things that I've encountered a lot the last year, not being a doctor or certainly anything related to the medical profession, but for me, being a cancer survivor, stage 4 cancer survivor, Google is a dangerous thing. And when people want to, it's funny because we'll initially talk about the gel and they'll want to do their research, which is Dr. Google. Yeah. And there are some articles out there. There, in fact, are some doctors who say that, and again, I understand it's never been proven. There's never been a direct correlation to growth hormone and cancer. It doesn't exist. It's a theory, it's a hypothesis, but it's never been proven. But even that, they're talking about the full strength injection. So for the people who might be concerned about the safety of it or causing cancer, because the common mind might think, well, if it causes growth, wouldn't it cause cancer cells to grow? So could you speak on that for a minute?
Absolutely. That's one of those, at this point, yet another horrible myth that's continuing to be perpetuated. And I don't think there's any other field that's slower than medicine to change their narrative. They can find out something is absolutely not true, and it just continues on and on and on. I think so you're right. I have zero concerns of HGH causing cancer. Zero. I think we are overly cautious, but rightfully so, to say, if you've got active cancer and you're under treatment, let's not do anything because we don't know enough. And we're going to err on the side of caution because actually the studies are not conclusive in any way, shape, or form that increased IGF-1 levels do cause cancer. There is no causal effect of that. And there's actually physiological evidence to show when IGF levels increase from the liver making, so HGH goes to the liver, right? And then you have IGF-1 levels that come out of the liver and other things. And it has multiple pathways. One of those pathways is actually it's entirely devoted to anti-cancer. And I'm just going to say this. So I have a couple things I could say about this. Your body increases HGH on its own in a number of ways. You can do things every day to increase your HGH, and you can do things every day to lower your HGH. I saw you post the other day, alcohol lowers HGH. Any day you drink alcohol, you will make significantly less HGH at night when you sleep. You make most at night when you sleep. You pulse it at night. It goes up and down, up and down. That's just a fact, right? You want to know how you can increase your HGH levels by 300%? Do you know this?
High intensity interval training, is that one of them?
That is one of the ways you increase it.
Intermittent fasting.
Fast for 3 days.
Okay.
Don't eat for 2 to 3 days, and you're going to increase your HGH 300%. That's 3 times, right? Don't eat for 7 days. It is 1,250% increase in HGH. You tell me your body HGH is dangerous to you, it's pro-cancerous to you, if you naturally can increase it to 1,250%, that's the same ridiculous stories when somebody tells me, oh, really be careful with vitamin D3 because, it's a hormone, and if it could build up, it's a fat-soluble vitamin, and you could store up in your fat, and it's toxic. Are you kidding me? You take a white person and you put them in the sun near the equator when the sun rays are hitting right. For 15 to 20 minutes, they're going to make like 20,000 IUs. So you're telling me taking 5,000 IUs a day is dangerous to somebody when the body can make 20,000 IUs in 15 minutes? How in the world is that D3 toxic? So how in the world is HGH promoting cancer when you make it? Just don't eat for 3 days, 300%, 3 times your normal levels. Right? The body is not stupid. See, that to me, when people say this kind of stuff, they have zero trust in the innate intelligence of the human body, that there is a wisdom built into this that's always protecting you, it's always working in your best interest. So WebMD, let's just throw that one out there. I think it's the worst website I've ever seen. That has zero understanding of the intelligence of the human body. And it's based on really old data, and it's based on on there, it'll probably tell you that dietary cholesterol causes heart disease. That's a 20-year-old story that's been completely proven wrong. If you are still believing that eating cholesterol raises your cholesterol levels, you have been duped. You have been lied to, manipulated, and brainwashed by a marketing campaign to sell you a drug, because it is absolutely not true. But there are still doctors out there saying that, because there are still doctors out there on the payroll of a pharmaceutical firm that are profiting from telling you that lie to sell you a drug that's going to make you actually have a higher risk of Parkinson's, dementia, or Alzheimer's. So I would be very careful with what I'm Googling and what sources you're choosing to trust, because it's just not true. There are no known cases of even injectable HGH causing cancer. They've been injecting HGH for 40, 50 years. The only cancer correlations are based on a couple types of cancers, like colon and maybe a Crohn's type. I have to look it up, but that were given to children young that had a deficiency in injections. It's a very unique population, but yet we're going to stretch the story out. You look at all the physicians who've been doing this in industry. I'm not actually an anti-injection person. Okay, I don't need to bash that industry at all. You go to a physician in the United States of America who's been well trained in hormones, they're going to take care of you the right way, and I don't think you're at risk that way at all. But you're going to pay $1,500, $200, $2,000, $3,000 for injections, and it is a replacement, and it's going to shut your pituitary down even more. This is a very low dose signaling. It's going to make your pituitary work better. There is a little bit of risk in there of making a little bit too much, but if you have a decent physician and you're being monitored, they're going to keep you safe.
And that's
I'm not even trying. Yeah, and that's with the shots.
Right.
So I'm not even. I mean, there is a chance, if people are getting them illegally and doing too much and doing too many units and not knowing how to taper off, that's a problem, because they're taking themselves out of a physiological norm. With a low dose, a microdose homeopathic version, your body will never, ever take you out of a safe, healthy physiological norm. It will not. I have zero concerns.
Okay. And the other thing is, I think a lot of people don't understand, and most of us are very proud of the fact that we literally have the only way to get human growth hormone without getting the needles and taking the shots, going to the doctor, spending all that money. We're the only other game in town, right? so there's the exclusivity there. And I know we're very
Yeah.
proud of that with the growth hormone, the somatropin, the homeopathic microdose of it.
Uh-huh.
But there's other things too. As you mentioned, there's 2 other main ingredients and there's a whole host of herbs and botanicals. Can you talk a little bit about that and how they synergistically work with the body? Because I think that's a big point of confusion for people.
That was really what sold me, right? So when a patient brought this to me and said, "Can you look at this and see if it's safe for me to take?" Because all my friends are on it, but they know I'm real tight. Like I'm a supplement food, I don't know, czar, dilettante, military. I'm hardcore. I'm a snob. I'm an elitist, or whatever that is. I want the best of the best of the best, and I want them on the best. I'm like, you're hiring me. My entire reputation based on is going to come on your outcome. I can't afford a TV commercial. You are my commercial. So if I keep them compliant and I get results, I get more patients, right? End of story. I'm a full cash practice, been that way for 20 years. I've never taken health insurance in my life. So I better make some results because no one's kicking people over to me, right? So to me, I'm like, you better do what I say. If you do what I say, I guarantee I'm going to get you better. But you better do what I say, right? So that means taking everything I say to do. Don't take anything I don't say to do. Show up when I say. So they brought it to me, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm like, okay. And then I saw the thyroid and adrenal homeopathic supports, the glandulars, and then I saw the botanicals, and I knew what all that stuff was. And I said, wait a minute. I mean, it was a few minutes. I was literally, I think I was almost salivating. My excitement was like, okay, hang on. I'm going to need to research it. And then I did my whole clinical, like, I want to really, who is this and what is this stuff and where is it coming from? And as I went and saw, so everybody in my field, thyroid and adrenal glandulars, this is like, M&Ms and Coca-Cola, the rest of you. We are prescribing this every day. This is like one of the most difficult things we have to deal with is that HPA axis, we call it, this hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, the stress and energy metabolism thermostat, this gland here. There's a reason I have a scarf on in front of this right now. I am protecting my thyroid right now. I am always thinking about my organs and my hormones and doing things that you guys don't understand that I'm doing to protect myself from the toxicity of this light coming off my phone. I don't want my thyroid damaged right now. So my thyroid and my adrenals that sit back here, everybody's are shot. Everybody's are drained. The adrenal fatigue is this hot new like functional medicine term, but the reality is everybody's exhausted. When I saw that, I said, okay, well, good. It's already got that because half my patients are on that because they're all stressed out. They're all in fight or flight. They all can't heal because you can't heal and fight and flight at the same time. I have to switch those parts of the nervous system. That's half my job, is just getting a person out of life or death panic so then their body can take over and heal. How are you supposed to manage a liver disorder if your brain thinks you're going to die all the time? How are you supposed to concentrate in class if your brain thinks you're dying all the time, right? So switching, flipping that switch changes everything. So the fact that it had it, and I'm like, perfect, because I know I can't do this. I can never do it without glandulars. I've tried. I was a vegan for 12 years personally. I tried doing this myself. I tried doing it on patients. It does not work. So this is not a vegan formula. And I'm very proud that it's not, because I can't get an HPA axis well on a vegan without using glandulars. That's just a fact. That's just how it is in life at this point. And I tell them that if you wanted me to work with you, I'm going to have to give you glandulars. Otherwise, we might as well leave now. You're going to waste your money. Right. So we had that. And then the botanicals, right? All these herbs I've used as well. And each one I'd have to like sell them an individual bottle or a tincture or whatever. So it's like 7 bottles of this and 4 bottles of this and 2 bottles of that. And I'm like, wait, it's all in one thing and they can rub it like this? And it was whole leaf. So here's the thing in the herb industry. There's a lot of scamming that goes on. So I don't know, like there's a thing with weed. I don't know the weed lingo because I'm old and don't do weed. But like if you buy weed, there's like a joke about it can be the stems or the bud. Like you could pay money for it and it's not really the weed anymore, right? I think it's the stems and the seeds don't count. Well, that's how it is in herbs anyway, right? So you want the leaf. So this has the entire thing. But a lot of herbs you buy in the store, you go to some grocery store or GNC or Target, and you say, but I bought echinacea. No, boo. What you got were some echinacea stems that actually don't have echinacea in some grain alcohol that has gluten in it to begin with. You got nothing. Yeah. But they can legally say it was echinacea because it had an echinacea stem. This is a whole leaf herb. And again, if you don't understand what that means, I'm telling you that means everything. It's an organic whole leaf herb. The way those leaves then sit with the HGH, I'm going to tell you the way the process is, which I can't talk about much. The HGH then imbues itself within those whole leaf during its whole, I can't say during its process, its processing of the many weeks and whatever that it goes through. I'm going to say that. I have to be careful because people are trying to steal what goes on. But that process kind of attenuates it even more, the HGH. So there's this really cool synergy of all of this that's going down that most people are not understanding. They're just feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge right there. You said most people are feeling, because, you know, one of the common things over the last year that I've been using this myself and you know, promoting it to different people and seeing so many people, frankly, taking on a complete viral nature. And almost across the board, people are saying sometimes within the first 3 days, but almost always within the first week, they're like, you know what? I'm sleeping better. And I didn't toss and turn all night. And I got the first good night's sleep since I was a teenager in 20 years. And, you know, I don't think people realize what a problem sleep is in this country. And when you have a product that can help people sleep, obviously, as you've been saying this whole time, the body has this innate ability to heal itself. And a lot of that, including your growth hormone output, happens when you're sleeping. So what types of people, other than being a human being, do you think this product would be good for? You know, overall, like, do you prescribe it to all of your patients now, or prescribe? You give it, recommend it? How does that work?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. So if they're over 20 and they aren't pregnant and they aren't breastfeeding and they don't have active cancer, I want them on it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no reason. So a lot of us, you know, again, I do a battery of tests and all these other things to look at it, and I'll use things maybe in conjunction. I'm not opposed to using bioidentical hormones and having replacements. And, you know, it works so well with somebody who's already on progesterone or thyroid medication or using some estrogen replacement or something, depending on their unique needs. Everybody's different in what we need to do. It augments that so well and helps then typically taper off the dependency for that replacement hormone, or they might need a little bit, and that's okay. So typically, yeah, and particularly my stressed, anxious, depressed, hopeless type of people, definitely the quick response I can get while I'm doing other things, it's really mind-blowing. And the nature of my practice has changed radically in the last few months, that I had to change a lot of the way I was doing everything. And I wasn't available to do as many hands-on therapies, and I had to stop taking patients for several months right now. I have a very long wait list, and I was feeling pretty horrible and very guilty about this, but I needed to attend to some other things. So this became one of the answers, and I, quite frankly, was blown away at the results I could get from one thing, where I wasn't able to see them 2-3 times a week for all the therapies normally, all the things that I would normally do and use all this stuff in conjunction. This was it. I said, here's the thing. I got a 6-week waiting list. Oh, I got a 12-week waiting list. I'm like, you guys, I'm tapped out. We can't take any more names. I'll get back to you. Like, I'm not even taking names. But I said, but in the meantime, what's going on? They gave me a little bit. I said, here's the thing. Let me go with this, this, and this. I can name 1 to 4 things that you can get right now. Try this, and I'll throw out a referral. Hey, if you don't go see my friend here, go do this, but get on these things. Many of them just started the gel, and the results I was getting, you know, the feedback, it was really mind-blowing to me. I said to a couple people, I'm like, this would have taken about $12,000 in 3 months with me for you to say this, but I'm good. I'm glad you know, like, I'm glad I saved, you know, you saved all this money, and continue with this, and, you know, keep going and stay consistent. You know, the one thing that makes me nervous, that is a concern with how quickly this can work, is that people have an expectation that it's supposed to work that fast. Mm-hmm. That's not always going to happen. Hormones and regulating hormones is a very long and slow process. So if somebody were to come into me with, you know, and I do Dutch hormone panel testing, and anybody can Google that and go get that test if you want a really good comprehensive lab that your normal doctor isn't going to run. I tell them this is going to be 6 to 12 months depending on when I see it. Like, this doesn't happen in two weeks. this takes a long time. Hormones and the endocrine system, to me, when I remember studying it in school, I always akined it to, I don't know if you watched ever, but I watched soap operas. And
Well,
like
I did grow up in the 80s, so with my mom, I used to watch General Hospital. Remember General Hospital?
okay, I didn't watch it. I watched Young and the Restless.
Okay, all right.
And
Luke and Laura?
But I know about them. But
Okay,
like
all
that,
right.
I'm sure it's the same, right? Where the same people are like marrying and remarrying, and everyone's related in some bizarre way. And they go, oh, that's the cousin. Oh, no, that's the uncle. Oh, no, but girl, she was sleeping with him. And it's like everybody's related in some weird way. And they go, and it all comes back together and they're all tagging up. That's how hormones work. So when you can understand it when you're studying it, say when you're in school, and you guys don't need to study all this, it's the courses that crush people, by the way, in school. Hormones are really hard. Endocrinology is really hard. It's like, that's why there's not a lot of endocrinologists that are practicing, because I think it's one of the hardest things to do. It's like a soap opera. There's so much playing and interrelatedness, and it's not just this leads to this and this leads to that. I mean, there's so many loop-de-loops and convoluted, and this can turn to this, and that, well, testosterone can actually turn into estrogen. And if you give a man too much, if you give one guy testosterone, he's going to actually grow breasts. Like, you're like, what? How did that happen? You know, it's very complicated. And so it can take some people months to actually start to have the effects, because the body's going to prioritize its healing. And the HGH, without a doubt, is going to go in there and go after healing, internal organs. Healing, you're not going to feel that. If it's dealing with cirrhosis of your liver or a necrotic gallbladder, how are you going to feel that?
Yeah.
You're not. So you might not have major changes in your sleep or your pain or whatever for a while. So I really want people to understand, to me, this is a bare minimum 6-month commitment, and stick with it, because just like one of my main therapies I do is neurofeedback. And most people will have a hit in 3 to 5 sessions, but there's always a small 10 to 15% of patients, and we can't predict who they're going to be. They will feel nothing till about 25 sessions. Now that is coming to us for months with zero change in how they're feeling. And I got to keep them engaged and keep them trusting, and keep myself like, is it the therapy? Is it the location? Is it the right this? God, are we missing something? No, just keep going. And then boom, one day there's an explosion in their brain, and this other person gradually went like this, and they went like this, but boom, they ended up in the exact same place. And it's like something exploded in their brain and it all came together. That happens. That's just how some people's bodies work. The same thing can happen here, right? So that's one thing I definitely want people to know there. There's a lot that's been put in to have a very fast effect, but some people are going to take months to feel it. And I find some people use way too little, like they're not using enough. When they tell me the bottles lasted, I don't feel anything. The bottle's been for 3 months. I go, what? Then you're not using enough.
Right.
If the same bottle is lasting you for 3 months. So there's that as well.
You just hit on 2 very, very important points. I've had a decent amount of people that I've talked to personally, or I've heard, well, I tried that for a month and it didn't work for me. Or I tried that for 2 months and it didn't work for me.
I know.
And I think that you're right. Sometimes the people who are getting such tremendous results, I almost don't want to talk about it anymore, because I want people to understand this is a long-term therapy.
It is.
You mentioned something about hormones, and I want to share this, and I don't think I told you this. Because of the cancer that I went through, I've been on testosterone replacement therapy for the last 14 years, okay? When I entered my 30s, I noticed that I had all the symptoms of low testosterone, so my doctor put me on the injections. And he told me that not only would I need to be on this the rest of my life, because as I continue to age, my body would make less, that I'd never get off of it, basically. And in fact, I would always need to increase the dose. I started this gel December of last year, so it's 13 months that I'm on it. Do you know, under my doctor's supervision, because I get my blood tested every 3 months, I've reduced my dose 3 times already. Yeah. So my body is literally, I was doing something I was told it would never do before because of this gel. I mean, that's crazy.
Notice I have zero surprise on my face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
And it's okay, because I'm trained in a different way of looking at the body, and you've been trained in limitation of the body, even though you're a miracle survivor, even though you've had this transformational experience in your life of moving beyond something that you were told maybe you would never, with the cancer as a child. you've still been brainwashed and conditioned by this certain mechanistic medical view of seeing things, that there's a limitation. This is how it's going to be. When a woman, and it's typically women, thyroid disorders are epidemic at this point, is given a prescription for Synthroid, levothyroxine, Cytomel, Armour, Nature, I don't care what it is, whatever thyroid medication you are given, T3 or T3 and T4, they say, here you go, you're going to be on this rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's say at this point, you've been diagnosed, you've already gained 50 pounds, you're sleeping 20 hours a day, you've lost a lot of your hair, you're constipated, because that's what a thyroid disorder does to you. You can't think, you're exhausted, you're gaining weight no matter what you do. Women are starving themselves and gaining 5 pounds a week. What's the matter with me? The doctor's going to tell you straight up, it's what was told to me when I was diagnosed with this. I gained about 60 pounds with thyroid disorder in college. I thought I had mono. I kept going in and going in and going in. And my friend finally said, I think you have a thyroid disorder. Have they tested for that? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm dying is what I feel like. And they said, great. So here you go. Here's your thing. And the doctor said, it will blah, 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 blah. I took the med. I was 19 years old. 3 years later, I was off of it. And I was off of it for a very long time. I remember going to emergency room in Montana for something else that I was doing. And I told the doctors this, and they all looked at me like dumbfounded. What are you talking about? I said, no, I don't need, I was on it. I was on it for 2 years. I recovered myself. I healed my thyroid. I don't take it anymore. They're like, that's impossible. Nobody does that. I went, what? Yeah, people do it every day. I don't know what you guys are talking about. So, but for a thyroid disorder, they're going to tell you, hey, here's a medication. It's a strong thyroid replacement. This will take 3 to 6 months before you notice anything. That's well accepted among people. And yet, if they don't feel a miracle and lose 10 pounds in 30 days, I don't know, it didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
Has anybody went to the gym for 30 days? That probably didn't do anything for you either, except to make you sore.
Yeah. Right.
Seriously.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
Going to the gym, starting anything new typically just hurts.
Yeah. That's and we've
and you're
literally
frozen on me.
Am I back now?
That's okay though.
Am I back?
You're frozen, but it's okay.
Okay.
No, it's
okay.
all right.
Am I back? Am I back? Hello?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Anyway,
I can hear you fine.
I had a call come in, and unfortunately, that kind of like froze the screen. So
maybe
Anyway, it should unfreeze. But one thing I want to get into real quick.
Okay.
I'm trying to be conscious of the time here.
Okay.
One of the things that I've been really hearing a lot recently is people that are getting relief from anxiety, from depression, and specifically soldiers and veterans with PTSD. Can you explain? I'm going to grab my charger for my phone because I think it's dying. But can you just explain why they're getting this relief and why that's helping in that sense?
Well, it's everything we've talked about. So it's every single component in the gel is doing that. To me, my core group I'd like to get are police, fire, military, first responders. I think they should all be on the gel. I think, they should be we should find a way to create a nonprofit that they get it for free. Because if I'm going to have, I'm dating a cop. So like, if I'm going to have a cop show up or an ambulance show up or an ER doc, I want them tip top. I want them calm. I want them stable. I want them emotionally sound. I want them super focused. I want their marksmanship to be off the charts. I want them strong. I want them ripped. I want them with no belly fat. I want them to move like a lion, So I want them all in the gel like nobody's business. I recently did a gun show, in case you didn't know, because I'm going after that market. So yeah, it was fun. So everything in it, HGH alone, right? And again, we're microdosing and there is real HGH, it's causing it, but you're not going to feel the full effect until about 6 months when your pituitary really goes poop, okay? But HGH is renowned for that overall, it's a feeling of overall good. It's just this feeling of like, wow, like, okay. It's just like, it's like a hope hormone. So HGH does that. HGH increases cognitive performance of attention and memory, which helps people feel stable. The thyroid adrenal support, that adrenal support is a direct access to stop the overshooting of cortisol, of the stress hormone that is putting people into a panic state all the time. And there's many of the herbs that are doing calming cortisol. So cortisol coming off your adrenal glands makes everybody shot. There's a lot to be said about sleep, that in terms of HGH, people will think of HGH as a sleep hormone, that it pulses up when you sleep at night. That most of the time you're making it is when you're sleeping. But the research is actually showing that it's like this inverse relationship or this coupled relationship of, well, you need to sleep to make HGH. So but actually it seems like HGH is what makes you sleep, right? So it's not sleeping makes it, it's like HGH being there is what allows you to sleep. So being deficient in it chronically is why you can't sleep. But yet you can't sleep because you can't make HGH because you can't sleep. It's a very vicious circle. So by giving the HGH, even in this microdose, is why people start to sleep so quickly, because it's an essential hormone. And I way prefer it. I don't ever like people taking melatonin. It's a whole nother story, except if they're using it for jet lag. It's the wrong, melatonin is a hormone. See, people take hormones all the time. They don't even know they're taking it. Melatonin, that is the most commonly prescribed thing for sleep, is a freaking hormone. And people are giving it to their children without batting an eye. It's a sleep hormone. And they're devastating their mitochondria by giving it to their children all the time. They're ruining them. They're giving them a sleep disorder. It's going to be horrible.
Wow.
So anyway, it's the thyroid adrenal support, and it's the HGH, and it's all the botanicals. It's all of it. There's no reason you are not going to. It's going to always happen. It's just a matter of how quickly.
Okay.
They're always going to get relief from that anxiety, depression, PTSD. It's always going to happen.
And yeah,
Doesn't mean it's curing it, removing it.
Right.
They're still going to need therapy probably. There's still support. But what this does is allow somebody to actually be pliable enough for their counselor, their doctor, whatever, to actually get that in there. I did tons of PTSD was half my practice. I mean, maybe even more than half my practice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most common thing that was walking in my door.
Well, I'm excited.
It's rampant right now.
One of our we did a Facebook Live last night with one of the guys in my group. And
Sorry.
That's sorry. He's
Such my dog.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my 3-year-old to wake up with a nightmare because he's been running. But he's been waking up all night. But anyway, it's we started a group for veterans in the jail, and we're just really getting it out there because after so many of them are saying, after jumping out of airplanes and being in the battlefield, literally, that their back and their joints and their neck are all messed up. So it's really, it's an effort that I've recently kind of latched onto myself. I'm really excited to be doing that for the people who served our country. So
I love it. I saw that. I think it's pretty amazing. Yeah,
it's exciting.
They're not getting the support they need. I have a lot of friends that have served, and they are definitely not getting the support and resources they need, and it is devastating to witness. I used to be able to take 2 gratis cases a month. That's what I used to do years ago, and it really became I couldn't afford to do it. I would do 2 veterans a month, and I went down to 1. It just became, the cost of business in healthcare is, a lot of you guys don't know, but it's extraordinary. And for us to try and figure out how we're going to help these people, this would be something I could afford to donate to, or do, to take a patient for, that would be like $15,000 of care my staff would have to do. And it's tough. And they deserve it. And I wish there was a better answer right now. I wish, I love that you're doing that. So let me know if there's anything I can do.
I will. And it's a new effort. And again, it's actually thanks to one of the guys on my team, Jason Weaver, wonderful man. But I'm just looking at my questions on my computer. I have questions in front of me, and I think we covered them all. I just wanted to kind of recap here. People are worried, or in general, they'll go to research on Google. They'll wonder about the cancer. They'll wonder, is it safe? Side effects, the dilution, it's too small to work, all that stuff. It's funny. There was so many people pointing out to me a YouTube video of some guy, apparently this big bodybuilder guy, saying there's no HGH in there, and it's like one piece of sand on the beach and all this other stuff. And clearly he doesn't understand homeopathy because I saw the video and he can't even say the word. But that aside, you really, from the medical perspective tonight, really broke down how it works, why it works, the ingredients, and my God, this is one of the best talks I think I've ever had with this product. very eye-opening for me. I learned a lot. Are there any
Yeah, good.
kind of
Here's the
final
thing.
thoughts?
Can
Or
I say
yeah,
this about Google?
yeah.
Yeah, let me say this about Google. Let me say this about you guys who are thinking in terms of this mechanistic, thing. We grew up, we're at a point now, I'm 46, right? So there was a sudden shift, I don't know, maybe when I was in college, that pharmaceutical firms were allowed to do TV commercials. That wasn't the norm, but it's become the thing. So children now are being inundated and they're thinking this is the normal way. You have a problem, you take a drug. You have a pain, you take a drug. There should be no pain and discomfort in life. So with the power of your Google, when's the last time somebody Googled something like, how many people get hospitalized from NSAIDs every year? How many people die from NSAIDs every year? So Tylenol, Advil, aspirin, ibuprofen, Motrin. How many people do you think are hospitalized every year, Brian?
I have no idea.
Just
Oh,
the very conservative estimate coming out from like CDC and all that kind of stuff is over 100,000.
wow.
Okay, that's
From
hospitalized. That's a massive disruption from liver damage and typically gastrointestinal bleeding that's so bad they have to be hospitalized. And of that, somewhere in the 16 to 17,000 people die every year from properly prescribed and taken Tylenol, Advil, aspirin, ibuprofen.
wow.
And people don't think twice about taking that. They feed it to their babies.
Yeah.
And you're going to ask me about some leaf in a gel? Seriously? You Googled what?
Yeah.
I'm just serious. I'm seriously like, when's the last time you Googled, the ingredients in your Gatorade?
Yeah.
When's the last time you Googled the Tylenol? When's the last time you Googled how your antibiotic was made? Because you're not, and yet that's okay. You know what I mean? I just want people to start, I would start doing that. They want to prescribe you Cipro. I think you should Google how many deaths or lawsuits are involved with Cipro, because that is one of the most dangerous antibiotics that's killing people, and yet it's still being prescribed. And there's a whole class of physicians that are trying to get it banned, and yet it's still in use, and yet people are still having reactions to it. But do you know about that? And I go over here going, why don't you guys all know about that? And yet there's some Yahoo on YouTube saying, I don't know, I haven't seen it, but like that's what's getting everyone's attention.
Yeah.
So I just live in a different bubble, in a different world.
Thank God. Yeah,
like,
right. Well,
so,
I think that, you just gave me, and I think a lot of people watching this, a new level of boldness and a new way to combat that, because I don't want to be, combative per se, but I think it's really interesting that, we know what it's doing, and we'll give them the information, and here's the info, and here's doctors' calls, and I share your call a lot, one of the webinars you did, and yet they'll come back and say, but I went to Google and I read, and it's like, oh, really? But you just had a very, very, very strong comeback. That's great.
Yeah.
Because it's the truth.
I mean, at that point, yeah, you can Google anything and find anything bad about anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look at the front cover of a National Enquirer at the checkout stand. I mean, do you believe any of that to be true?
Right, exactly.
But it's on a magazine, it says it.
Yeah.
So-and-so is an alien with two heads and got kicked out of the palace or something. Oh, okay. So I just think people need to, again, everybody has to make their own decision. They have to learn to trust who they're going to trust. I have the resources that I trust, and I may choose to trust things that, again, the mainstream will say. I'm, like the size of the molecule. There's a 500 Dalton rule. I get what people are saying. They're going back to the same, what's happening on most, let me explain the interwebs to people in case they don't know. There's like typically one person who writes a blog or a story, and then you have 50 to 200 people that just regurgitate that. And now it becomes like fact. So there's so much misinformation on so many topics, and people eventually think it's true because they read it in 150 places. I'm like, have you not noticed it's the exact same thing that's just being repeated, and the exact same site, the citation or source, if they have it, is the exact same one? There's nothing new or original or deeply investigated. It's just how fast can we get it out there? Because how many hits can I get? And I need the internet, I need the Google algorithm, and I need people to hit my website, and how much traffic do I have? That's sadly where we've gotten. So if you want to research something, if you're not researching PubMed, I don't actually want to hear it.
Yeah.
Because if you read it on People Magazine, Reader's Digest, or WebMD, it really is invalid to me.
Or you saw some YouTube video or some Facebook page. But let's address that, and let's make that our last point, because this is a big one. I wanted to talk about the safety. I wanted to talk about the ingredients, the cancer. I think we hit them all. You mentioned the molecule size, because that's something that a lot of people will come back. Sometimes, my doctor said, right, that the molecule is too large to be absorbed into the skin. It's a very large single molecule. Could you address that from the medical perspective?
Yeah, God, with the whole my doctor said. Again, you guys, I'm going to be really careful here, but not too much. I'm not trying to bash an entire profession, because I think Kevin Green said it great in the what's in the gel or what's in the ingredients or whatever video that we did. There's a whole hour-long one, and we have a 9-minute excerpt of him. We pulled it out of the HGH. And I love that Kevin said this. So again, he's the mighty physician. Everybody seems to want to honor the MD more, even though he will self-admittedly admit. Terry Walls, all these physicians who knew nothing about functional medicine, knew nothing about nutrition, knew nothing about diet, they keep coming out and saying, we are taught nothing about health. We are not taught about food. We have 0 nutrition classes. We are not taught about supplements. This is not what we study. We come out with 0 understanding of any of this. I didn't understand it. This is not what they study. And so he said it very clearly. It's like, I had no idea. You have to learn all of this after you graduate, only if you're passionate and interested about it, out of your own pocket, spending your own weekends, traveling and doing this. And he said it very boldly. He's like, and quite frankly, medicine has failed the traditional way. And if you don't have a physician that's doing the functional medicine, you need to move on. The difference is people like me over here on the quack side of the world, we've been doing this forever. This is not new to us. This is all we've studied. This is all we do. We didn't have to be converted. So when your doctor says, if it's a traditionally trained person, they don't know what any of this is. They just have no idea what they're talking about. That is like if somebody came to me and started talking about heart valve replacement. I'm going to be like, I have no opinion on that. I'm not a cardiovascular surgeon. I have 0 idea if you should use the sheep valve or the pig valve. I don't know. And I'm going to tell you I don't know, because I don't know anything about it. That's not exactly what a lot of people's doctors do. They say stuff about things they just have 0 understanding about. And quite frankly, they break the law quite a bit, because they aren't allowed to do that. But so that being said, I think Kevin says it really, really well with, first of all, they don't actually even know what they're talking about most of the time. So I'd be careful about that. I would never, hey, is this protein shake good for me, to your physician? Because they're going to be like, I have no freaking idea. They're eating Taco Bell most of the time.
Well, see, we get that a lot. Well, I want to check with my doctor
size.
first, right? I want to go check with my doctor first. And I'm like,
And they have to do that. They have to do that. We have to say it. We need to, we have to have safety measures. The reality is, though, most of them are not going to know what it is, but you might find one that's openly intrigued. My mom just sent me a text. She was like, my foot doctor wants to talk to you about the gel. I'm like, what should I do? I'm like, give her my cell. I got an email today from a patient. It's like, I'm vacationing with Dr. So-and-so of the blah, blah, blah center here in Atlanta. And I think she needs a gel. Can I do what? I'm like, oh yeah, boo, give her my number. Right? So physicians who are right on the edge or whatever, they're like, wait a minute, what is it?
Yeah.
And because they understand HGH. And then you tell the other part, they're like, oh. And so they know enough to like say, I'll try it. They're actually, if they're open to anything, they're not that discriminating. They'll be like, let me try it. And as soon as they feel it, they're like, wait a minute. Then they look into it and they study it and they go, well, they understand. They're like, look, it's FDA registered. It has a national drug code. It's set up. There's so many safety measures in check. So we know it has what it has in it. We know it's in a safe facility. We know there's no contamination. We know it's going to be consistent. Done and done. They're used to that. They don't research every drug they prescribe. They don't try every drug they're doing. They have to understand and trust the processes and procedures. So that's just there's that. So let's talk about Dalton size. All right.
Mhm.
So there's this thing that's flying around. It's an old standard rule. It's called the 500 Dalton rule, meaning if it's more than 500 Daltons in size, molecule size, it can't penetrate the skin. Because if that was the case, like things would be, leaking out of us all the time. So there's a lot of things that are larger than that are carried into the skin with these proprietary carriers. And they aren't being patented and let people know because then everybody can steal them. But the classic case, I mean, the proprietary carrier that's used in this is used in about 40 other products. There's there's a lot, Alexi doesn't own it, actually. I'm pretty sure I'm speaking on that, but it's used in a bunch of other stuff that's taking bigger Dalton sized molecules and taking them through the skin. A classic example is collagen and how collagen's used in all these dermatology topical creams to get collagen in for the anti-aging benefits. The beauty part of the HGH is that you don't need to use collagen because you're already increasing your own collagen. So I stopped taking collagen. I don't even need it anymore, right? Saving money. But if, here's the thing, like I'm speaking on Saturday, we're doing a huge Super Saturday for health practices, healthpreneurs only in Atlanta. So physicians, chiropractors, acupuncturists, spa, anti-aging and spa owners. One of our doctors, I'm on an 8-person board, panel that's speaking and teaching all day this Saturday. And one of them is a dermatologist here in Atlanta who's loving the gel and offering it to. So, explain to me how dermatologists wouldn't understand, like the 500 Dalton rule is an outdated rule that keeps being passed along. Science does not keep up with, like the books and the textbooks aren't keeping up with how things are changing in technology. It's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. It's just not accurate, but people keep repeating it. Just like they keep repeating high cholesterol is dangerous.
Yeah.
People say that like it's a fact, and I keep repeating it like it's not. Right. Because that's how nature designed it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because, however you want to look at it, spirit, nature, God, like, because they thought, oh, well, let me make this thing, but you make sure I'm going to put a note in there, you guys, to get rid of the yolk.
Yeah.
Because somebody over there is saying cholesterol is bad for you.
Yeah.
And it's I want you guys to think about that. I want you to start to maybe trust your body more than you trust Google. And again, I want you to be safe. I do want you to research, but if you want to research things, you need to research physiology textbooks. If you want to research, you should learn endocrinology. You should look at what HGH does. You should look at its pathways. You should look at how those 5 or 6 branches, I think, how it comes off in the liver, what IGF-1 really does. That's what you should study.
Yeah.
Not some Yahoo on YouTube who's saying, I don't know what, for selling something else. You know what I mean? Like, You should read the thousands of testimonials. Like, that's how you go. You're like, well, this is pretty compelling.
Yeah. That was good. That was one of the best.
If you Google, you'll find doctors that say chiropractors are all quacks and we kill babies and we break necks and we stroke people out. They're going to say that to you. They're going to, no, seriously. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to tell people, like, we're the safest thing on earth. We're so safe, and yet there are entire websites to saying we hurt people. And if that was true, I wouldn't be paying a $1,200 a year malpractice bill. That's all I got to pay. That's how safe I am to patients. So they go, this woman is at no risk. She's going to pay $1,200. You know what Kevin Green is paying? You know what a physician pays? Hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah.
Because they're potentially more dangerous. So I'm just giving you an idea, like, it's the perception people have. Your perception is not reality. It's just your perception.
Yeah.
And I would be really careful at what sources you're choosing to fill your perception and make your reality real. So I don't know if I get that. If you have people like, what about this? What about this? I'm like, next. I want to help you when you're ready. I don't care what it is, what therapy I have to offer. You can't convince people to choose themselves. If someone's saying, I can't afford it, yes, you can. That's a choice, but that's for them to figure out.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
I keep going.
Anyway, maybe I went off a little bit.
That was, believe me, that was more needed than you know. And I think that what just keeps coming back to my mind is what you said about Googling Cipro and Googling the Advil, the NSAIDs, or whatever you call them, the Tylenol, et cetera.
Yeah.
it becomes a matter of critical thinking and not just the first 3 Google results and taking that as gospel from some blog or somebody who has an ulterior motive.
Right.
But I want to close this out with a
Right.
question, and I want to bring it full circle to what we spoke about earlier, where we started. We had a lot of people, I've been monitoring the comments and questions, and a lot of people are wondering, which I know this is close to your heart, specifically for people with autism. Are there any benefits? Are there any,
Oh,
how does the gel apply to
off the
autism?
charts. They should all be on it. Okay. So that's another big science. I should do a whole thing on that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So in general, there's several biomarkers that define someone as being on the autism spectrum. And some of those biomarkers are there before the onset. And there's basically going to be a trigger. There's going to be a spark that causes that type of inflammation and brain damage that leads to this disorder. But these things were there, so they're at much higher risk than somebody else who doesn't have them. Now, of course, they're going to continue. One of those things is typically a methylation disorder. And methylation disorders are kind of a complicated thing that deal with genetic mutations, with how somebody can add a methyl group onto their DNA and how they can add a methyl group onto their hormones. You can't detox, and by the words detox, it typically means recycle. Our body just recycles things typically, but you can't clear out your estrogen, your B vitamins. You can't clear things out unless you can methylate them. You turn off your genes typically by using methyl groups to keep genes inactive. You have to keep things turned off, actually. That's the typically the most important thing. So they typically are having trouble with B vitamin absorptions. They have very, very hard time with making enough glutathione, which is your master antioxidant. They have very, very, very system-wide problems with detoxification, and it's why poisons, metals, and other toxins build up very quickly, infiltrate the central nervous system, and lead to this chronic encephalitis condition and damage that we now call autism spectrum disorder, which can be very widespread. So giving people, we give them lots of B vitamins and different things and glutathione and sometimes injections and IVs. Glutathione is one of the most difficult supplements to give somebody. It's incredibly expensive. I mean, the liposomal glutathione I sell in my office is about $80 a bottle. Very hard to absorb. That's just a month, just for one supplement, okay? And I might have somebody with autism on 15 to 20 things. Plus their brain therapies, right? It's hard work to manage this. That's just increasing that methylation capability, increasing their glutathione, but the HGH goes right there and increases that glutathione, increases their body to start chelating out the mercury, the aluminum, the lead, all the other heavy metals, the mold particles, the Epstein-Barr virus, whatever they're dealing with. Tremendous. They're also in a constant anxious state. That adrenal support, that thyroid support, it's unbelievable. And typically, again, especially the boys, they have a very hard time gaining muscle mass. That's why even their children, they're all typically very skinny, very underweight, very anemic, very low muscle mass. They need to eat a lot of protein, you guys. So this helps with that. It helps, and by not having enough muscle mass, they're not as strong, so their bone density goes down. It just becomes this horrible cascading effect. But there's been tremendous mood improvement, anxiety improvement, but that fundamental deep down detoxification, that's the main thing we're dealing with. Autism is all about helping that body chelate out all these heavy metals and pathogens that are chronically destroying their brain cells. And then if we can stop, we can't repair it unless we can stop that. Then we can go in there and try to heal those overactive and underactive parts of their brain. So adults to be on it, I think is unbelievable. You have no idea how hard it is when I have 16 and 17-year-olds that I want this on it so bad. My son is 13, and just a few days ago, we were talking and I showed him something and I was saying, I don't know about the gel, or he saw an interview. He said, oh, baby, look, let me show you this, or something I said. And I'm like, your mom's kind of, it's like, hey, I'm doing good things. Look at me, right? And he goes, oh, when can I take the gel? He's like, so I really can't do it? And I said, no. He goes, that kind of sucks. He goes, are they going to come up with something that I can take? Because that would be awesome. It's not really fair that we can't take it.
So just to be clear,
I'm like, babe, The next one is coming out is 4 kids can take it. I don't know what it is,
Right.
but yeah.
But just to be clear, though,
But go ahead, be clear with the autism.
Right, with the and the children. So whether autistic or not, it's not something that somebody, say, under the age of 18 should take, or?
I would not. I still would not. I just think, one, whether or not I think it's safe for them I'm going to still protect the distributor, the consultant, the clinician, the company is not what it's approved for. I would wait until we've hit that 20, 21-year-old mark. Again, you have to remember the human brain is also not done until it's 25. I consider everybody in my office under 25 still a pediatric case. So I tell that to the 20, 21, 20, well, here's the thing, no disrespect. I'm still always going to refer to you as a pediatric case because you're not done. You guys think you're adults, but you're not. Physiologically, that prefrontal cortex is still developing. This is still developing. So if I can still start getting a little bit more healing, especially in a brain that's been damaged, autism, that is brain damage. My nephew it is damage. He has a 79 IQ for a reason. It came from brain damage. Okay. So we moved my sister warrior. The people that I think the people that have moved me more than anything are the mothers of special needs children, because you want to talk. People think I'm a badass. Get in one of their way, because they will eat you up, tear you out, do whatever they have to do. They are lionesses like I've never seen. The ones that are committed and in it to win it, they'll do whatever. They'll leverage anything and anyone they have to save that child. And I've seen it over and over again. Kids that couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't, they're pooping in a diaper at 7, 8, 9, 10, and it can all get better. But it comes from working really hard at it. I would wait, but you still have an amazing number of years to go in there and really help clean it up. But there's a lot you should be doing before they get to 20 and can use the gel, you guys. So, but if they're already that age, yeah, I would get them on it immediately.
Okay.
And certainly the parents should be on it. That population is near and dear to me. The parents of special needs children are worn out, tired, broken down, unlike any group of people I've ever seen, and yet most people have no idea. They are the masters of deception and hiding it and smiling and covering it up and crying at night and getting up the next day like warriors that they are and doing it again. Because their why is so big that there's nothing that's going to stop them. So when they feel this gel on them, they haven't been normal for 5, 10, 15 years. They get, as the first thing they say, they go, oh, I feel so normal. And they'll sob tears of joy, feeling like, it's kind of what I felt when I used it. It's like a hug of comfort and love and security. It really was a very strong frequency energetically for me, and anybody who's sensitive like me. That's typically what we feel, is a rightness and a love and a warmth and a caressing and a hold. It was almost like an energetic, I got you, boo. It's going to be okay. And that's what I felt on the 4th day. I was like, okay, like I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I slept 10 hours. It's this, whatever crisis my son is severely sick. I'm like, it's going to be okay. And that wasn't the voice I was hearing for a long time.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Right. So yes, I probably should do a whole thing on that, but yeah, the adults, I'd wait until they're to protect everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot you parents could be doing besides the gel. You get them on that when they're an adult.
We initially, my plan was to have this a 30-minute talk, and here we're just over an hour. But I have to say that, having been in this business for a year, all the lives I've done, the people I've spoken to, I really sincerely think this is the best talk. This is the best, most informative thing that the people in the business need. I think that every single distributor in New Life needs to watch this. I wish every person, all of my 5,000 friends on Facebook need to see this. everybody in my life needs to see this because it literally answers everything. I mean, if somebody takes an hour and watches this and they don't want to get on the gel, they have brain damage, in my opinion. There's something wrong with them. You understand? Like you opened up so many eyes tonight. I'm in shock, and I just want to sincerely, Stephanie, thank you. And I think so many people feel the same way. This was incredible.
I hope I'm helpful.
My God.
Okay. Well,
this
okay.
was
good.
Off the charts. This was great. Do you have any final parting thoughts before we close?
And that's the thing, Brian. Yeah. And here's the thing. Somebody who doesn't want to, all it comes down to is people are on their journey and they're going to when they're ready, they're ready. Yeah. And you can say, I've had things presented to me that were the absolute right choice. I was told by at least 5 to 6 doctors that I deeply respected and loved that I needed to stop being a vegan. It was killing me and I needed to eat meat. And I persisted and I went on and on and on. I loved these people. I respected them. I was paying money to be in their seminars and be trained and mentored by them. And they have lovingly said, I need you to stop. And I was so wrapped into my own thinking and my own cognitive dissonance on that, I couldn't do it. So I understand that you might have an answer right in front of you from somebody that you respect and admire, and they're telling it to you, and you still don't know how to open your hands and receive it.
Yeah.
But there was a point. Somebody then said it again. And all of those people who said it to me came forward in a moment. And in gratitude, I said, okay, I'm done. And it changed my life. But it let me understand that people are, they don't want to do it. They don't it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you've had so many conversations with people in real estate trying to explain to them, here's the thing I need you to make sure you do. You need to legally protect yourself with this, put this in escrow, make sure you're putting money in a 401k, make sure you do. And did they do it?
No.
Maybe not. And you're like, dude, I told you should have done that. Look, right. So sometimes, we're going to not maybe take the advice just because it's where we are in that journey. It's where our vibration is right then. I wish them well. I bless them. It's all in love. It's all in, well, hey, if you ever are interested again, or if you're that suffering and pain you're in, or that sleep problem or whatever, it becomes so much that you are willing to take a risk. That's all it is. People are afraid to take risks. They're afraid to even, sometimes they're afraid to feel good. They've gotten so married to that discomfort and that pathology, or that their identity of sickness.
Yeah.
It's really hard to actually buy into there's hope, because if I buy into hope, that means I'm setting myself up to be disappointed. So it's a fascinating journey of the psyche that people are on. And I just, you send them what you send them. You try to serve them with love. If they're not ready, you say, bless you. And let's talk again later about, ask them about how their kids are and move on, and
I agree.
go bowling with them and move on and be friends. And it's not personal. It's just not.
Yeah. Well, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear, right? And that was a great 2 cents. So
exactly.
I just want to thank you again. This was wonderful. You're a brilliant person.
You're welcome.
And I'm very impressed. And like I said, this was more helpful than you know for so many people. So I would definitely like to do this again.
Good.
I'm sure there's a million other topics that we could cover. I think, to say the least.
You have to pick like 1 or 2. If you're trying to keep me short, I'm like, you sent this list to me. I'm like, Brian, there is no way we're going to talk about
You're like,
that.
We're never covering all that. So you know what? Stay tuned, my friends, because we will do this again. And we'll do it again. So Stephanie, thank you so much. Have a great night, guys.